In three, two, one. What's going on YouTube? This is yours truly, Dre the Plug, reporting live with some more technical heat. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button below. Make sure y'all hit that bell below so y'all can stay notified every single time I drop new technical heat. But let's get into it, man. Let's jump right back into these interviews. I just finished a whole bunch of sponsorship product videos, so definitely go check all of those out. Some of them I never even seen in person, so I thought it was really dope. And then on top of that, also did a couple of electronic projects, so definitely go check out those previous videos I did. But now I'm about to jump right back into my interview videos where I interview different people all across the country. Let's get into it. Roll the clip.
Hey guys, my name is Bryana Beckford. I went to the Florida State University and I majored in chemical engineering. I really actually enjoyed chemical engineering and I didn't even know it existed until I got to Florida State, because I thought I could be a doctor. I could have been, but I didn't want to be, so I found my niche. So then I graduated in spring 2020, or I graduated in spring 2020, and I went to start my master's, well at the time PhD, at Florida A&M University. Go Rattlers. I did industrial manufacturing engineering and I focused in materials and sensor technology. So upon coming in, I was building off of my undergraduate research, and that was with semiconductors pretty much. So I worked with perovskites and we tried to fabricate them in lab. So to kind of cut costs on the fabrication process of typical semiconductor just made of silicon. So we would produce that in a laboratory setting and we would apply that to solar cells. So we wanted to print it on a thin film or flexible substrate. So coming into grad school, I thought that that's what I was going to be doing. And then I ended up getting a project with Marshall Space Flight Center. And we were working on in situ real-time damage detection via in situ sensors, triboluminescent sensors, which are pretty much once you apply pressure, friction, that's what tribal means, it's like a friction, to these sensors, they produce a light, so triboluminescence. And that light will travel down a sensor and be able to detect real time what damage occurred and where. So we wanted to apply this to things like SOVs, which are space operated vehicles, ISS, International Space Stations, those kinds of things. And originally I was going to be working on the sensor itself, since chemistry is more so focused on the triboluminescent part. But then I got into additive manufacturing. So we wanted to manufacture these sensors using 3D printers. But that's just like a little bit about what I did in grad school. And I graduated end of last year in 2022. And I now started as a process engineer at Texas Instruments, which I totally love. It's really great, flexible schedule, great company, love it. And I'm now in Dallas, Texas, which is completely different from Florida. I do miss the beach and the humidity a little bit, just a little. A side hustle that I used to be involved in, were property managing and creative directing, completely different, but versatility. And now I would like to incorporate my love for creativity and baking into my love for science and chemistry. And I would love to teach and give back to the community. So kind of form a program where we can start out teaching kids the baking, the science principles, chemistry principles, and hopefully evolve that into a community center where kids can come to learn, network, connect, and have a kind of just safe space to learn and enjoy learning. Yeah.
All right, Bryana, so why did you choose chemical engineering?
So I chose chemical engineering for several reasons. I didn't really know it existed when I got to college. I was a biology pre-med major, and I was going through the courses, and it wasn't really interesting to me. I was learning about plant bio, and I was like, I need to know something more than this. I also really love math, and I wasn't doing any math. Um, so when I was growing up, my dad's a mechanic, and a lot of my family are into cars, so it became a great interest of mine. And I liked working with my hands. I like fixing things, doing things, making things, anything to do with my hands. So I was like, okay, how can what do I want to do that encompasses all the things that I like to do? I had a friend in biomedical engineering, and she was like, oh, you can come to biomedical engineering. So I was like, okay, that's something to really consider. So I'm like, okay, it can incorporate my love for science and my interest in engineering and tinkering with things. And so I started that way. And then I kind of wanted to make sure I could have like a broad horizon. So I switched into chemical engineering because there's so much versatility with that field. You could go into oil and gas, semiconductor, I mean, you name it. So I got into the field and I was like, okay, this is it. It has my love for science and chemistry, my love for math. I get to work with my hands. Or even if I didn't want to, and I chose not to, I could still use my degree for any of that. So I think that's why I stuck with chemical engineering, and I felt like it was a really good fit for me.
So what do you feel is the biggest benefit when it comes down to majoring and being in chemical engineering?
I think the biggest benefit is the versatility and actually the diversity that I've noticed within this field. Not only can I do a lot of different kinds of jobs, I've actually met a lot of different kinds of people, and I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of amazing women and women that look like myself as well. And just so many different kinds of people. You get so many different perspectives. You learn so much. I think it's a really great field to go into because, well, at least for me, I've gained a really great network from being in this field, a great support system. And it's really exciting to see the innovation that comes from being in this field. So I think those would be the biggest benefits.
All right, so you're one of the few people that have actually experienced an internship and did research. So kind of tell me, like, what was that process like? What was the process when it came down to doing both of them? And in the end, interning at NASA. What was all of that like?
So I really enjoyed both of them. I started my research experience in 2019 at the High Performance Materials Institute, which is like connected to my school. So I did the research program there, and I started working in perovskites, like I had mentioned before. And I thought it was really interesting because initially, again, I was interested more within the medical fields, but this kind of showed me how diverse chemical engineering could be and all the opportunities, all the possibilities. And it actually helped me find, one, where I ended up now, and two, what I actually enjoyed doing that I didn't know I would enjoy doing. So perovskites existed for quite a bit, and it is a crystal, it's a lattice structure, and it has this really great property where you can convert energy from photons. So the only drawback to that was that, so it was a single cation perovskite initially. The drawback to that was it was susceptible to damage with moisture and heat. So my part in the project was to see how we can improve upon this process, because one, it'd be really great if we could have solar cells that can produce the same amount of energy, or if we can remake solar cells about this size that could produce the same amount of energy that one of the large panels in a farm, a solar cell farm, or like on top of your roof. If we can have that size, cut the price down, cut the costs, cut the time to developing those solar cells, it could be a huge difference. And then if we can print those onto flexible substrates, the possibilities are limitless. They could be in clothing, to monitor heart rate, or to give energy to a heart rate monitor. It could be within your car. Again, the possibilities are endless. So I really enjoyed doing that. And how we did that was we incorporated 3 cations into the perovskite to kind of stabilize the crystal, so it wouldn't be as susceptible to moisture damage and thermal degradation. So I thought that was very interesting. And then in doing that, I discovered my love for physical chemistry and particle physics. So that was really, really fun and really interesting. So that was kind of like the micro aspect of how things can happen, of how we can make changes within that standpoint. And then going into grad school, since I was working with NASA already with my thesis project, I ended up getting an internship, and it was supply chain quality, and we did risk assessments, risk management, risk mitigation. So we did risk matrices, surveys that are still implemented into the site to this day, just a few of those kinds of things. And it was interesting to see the difference and, like, again, how I could apply my graduate degree, because we were working to make sure that we have the lowest risk possible using different suppliers, or even NASA's own products. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I really enjoyed both, and I was able to learn a lot, not just about like myself and what I would enjoy doing, what I would like to do, how I can incorporate the two of them. And I was able to learn a lot more about the respective fields, how to put them together. I really enjoyed both experiences, but working at an internship did make me realize working isn't as bad as school sometimes.
All right, so how did you get into Texas Instrument? How was the interview process, and how was it like actually being there at the facility from start to finish? How was your whole experience right now?
It kind of was also a happy accident. I didn't quite know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, because again, I knew everything was kind of, options were endless, it was vast. They came to the College of Engineering, FSU's and FAMU's College of Engineering, for Engineering Day, and we had an info session with NSB. So I went, and at first, like a lot of people, thought calculators. And it wasn't until actually sitting there, listening to the recruiters speak about how much they enjoyed their job. And you can actually like look on their faces and see that they actually were enjoying their job. And what the company was about, it really spoke to me. So it is a semiconductor company. And so it is more than just calculators. We use semiconductors in our phones, in our laptops, in cars, sensors, cameras, all those kinds of things. I spoke with the recruiters, and I got a next day interview on my campus. I went, and it was a typical like behavioral questions. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about a time where you had to have a leadership position, those kinds of things. So after that, I got another email saying that I made it to the next round of interviews, which was a panel phone interview. So I had 2 ladies on my phone call, and it ended up being almost like a conversation, because they were just so easy to talk to, and they made the process very comfortable. And we touched on slightly more technical aspects, very slightly, but it was more so behavioral as well. And I believe that's just kind of to get a feel of like who I was and who the company was from different perspectives. And then the final and third round was an on-site interview. So you get invited to go to the main site in Dallas, and you have to prepare a presentation on research or any topic of your choosing that can give a technical or can give an idea into your technical background, things that you've done, and kind of how you present yourself as a scientist, engineer, those kinds of things. We had a team building exercise. They told us a bit about the company. We toured the fab, which was so cool. I definitely enjoyed that. And they treated you really well. That was probably the best, also the best interview process I've ever been through. So we arrived, they tell you about the company, they tell you what it's like to become an employee, all the different fabs, what's the plan for the future, and about the location that we're at. So then we did our tour. Then we did, we had 3 panel interviews. So we went to 3 different rooms and we spoke to different interviewers. They asked you more technical questions. But it was fun. And again, they made it a comfortable process. So you sit, you have a good conversation, you tell them what you know, you're just, they help you feel confident in your abilities. And then after those rounds, then there's a team building exercise. Then there was the presentations. So I presented my research in perovskites from undergrad. And then we did the team building exercise. So you have different interview cohorts, and we're all from different places. Some from UTD, there were 2 of us from FSU, a couple from just around the country. And we worked on building a bridge out of newspaper and tape. And we had to have a bowl travel underneath this bridge, and it had to be able to be strong enough to hold a gallon of water. So it's kind of funny. I was already taking the lead, but I kind of ended up being the one to help facilitate everybody's roles so we can kind of get it going smoothly, and helping with the design of the bridge. So we had, I don't remember how long, I think it was about a minute or a minute and a half, something to that effect. So what we ended up doing was, hopefully this helps for another interview or something. We took the newspaper and we rolled it up to where they were, you kind of make your center of gravity. They were stronger together. We took a couple of papers to roll up. And then we tape that together. So we have support coming this way. And then we made some supports underneath so we can have even force distribution throughout the top of our bridge. And then we taped it together. And then we used the tape containers, the cardboard that's in the tape, as our stand, as our legs. We made it tall enough to be able to fit the bowl underneath. We kind of put some tape to tape it together, just one little tape around. And then we were able to have our bridge. So it ended up holding the gallon of water. It didn't bend, it didn't sink, it didn't go through. So we ended up doing a really great job, actually. And they did a dinner for us. It was a really great experience. And I want to say within a few days, I heard that I had gotten the offer.
All right, so what exactly do you do as a process engineer at Texas Instruments?
So as a process engineer at TI, we focus on the process of the semiconductors or the wafers from beginning to end. So we have different tools that facilitate different sub-processes because your wafers have to go through several different steps to get to being a sensor, a semiconductor for whatever use it is. And so we facilitate how that process runs for each of those tools or subset of tools. So let's say like I work with furnaces mainly. So I need to make sure that the furnaces are doing what they need to be doing, and that everything is within the specified limits or the specified, I don't want to give too much, the specified things that we need in order to have a working semiconductor. So each engineer has their own sub-process in different modules, and we own those processes to make sure it is the best product that we are putting out. So in a chemical reaction, we have things like temperature, time, pressure that affects chemical processes. So I kind of use a bit more of my chemical engineering or my chemistry knowledge to see like, how will this temperature affect this process? How will this time affect this process? How does the pressure affect this process? And how can I make this process optimize to what conditions we have?
So if you can give the viewer one takeaway, what's one thing that you'll want the viewer to know about yourself?
One thing about me, I'll always say no man is an island. I think community is so very important, especially in engineering. It's so hard to do it by yourself, so why, you know? I always believe in paying it forward. So I will always be that person. If you ever need anything, my ears are always open. My phone is always open. If you ever need a connection, link, network, I would love to be that person. Because you never know what you can do for somebody, how they can impact your life and how you can impact somebody else's life. So I think it's really big to have a community and to have that network so we could all help each other get to wherever it is that we want to be. And if you ever want to connect with me, I am on Instagram at _Bryana Danielle. It's BRYANA Danielle, DANIELLE. And I am on LinkedIn at, Bryana Beckford, so my name, and TikTok, which is just my fun skating videos, is at BRYY_5, so Bree5. And thank you for taking the time to have this conversation. This is fun.
And that concludes this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. It really do help my channel when it comes down to the YouTube algorithm. If you guys have any questions regarding anything, just hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on the gram at DreThePlug123. And then also go check out my other YouTube channel. This is actually my second channel. My first one was called Andre ClassicCuts. I basically go in and give tutorials about all types of different haircuts. I actually show people how to do different type of things with the clippers that has never been done, and I pretty much go into detail as to why certain things happen. So definitely go check out that channel. Besides that, be on the lookout for my next content that's dropping. Be on the lookout for it because it's coming real soon. And I'm out.